I'm just curious, like, when did you guys realize that you had kind of flustered Russell Wilson? Because, he looked like he was indecisive. He was holding on to the football a lot, and that had to be really satisfying for you guys.
Yeah, I think we realized when James knocked the ball down at the very end of the game, the last throw, because just playing Russ throughout the years and just knowing about him and everything he stands for and everything he's about, he's relentless, and you can have him figured out for 58 minutes, and then he figures you out for 2. And they scored there at the end. And before I got the question today, were we fatigued? We finished strong, and it's never over till the clock strikes 0 against a guy like that caliber of quarterback.
Yeah, no question. And Wilson, holding on to the football was confused. You guys had a great game plan. You, the players, and you and your teammates did a tremendous job of executing it, Logan. I'll ask you a simple question. It may not have a simple. What do you think the key is? Well, you've been a part of a lot of great defensive units. Tennessee, up in New England, playing for Belichick and the Patriots. Now here with the Giants, year 1 with Big Blue. What do you think the key to this group's success is defensively?
Belief and selflessness. I tell you guys every week the game plan changes. I don't know, what my role is going to be from week to week, but I'm willing and I believe in Pat Graham that whatever he draws up, I'm going to do my part in it. And you don't know who's going to make the plays. We had a lot of guys step up. Niko Lalos again, Darnay Holmes, Carter Coughlin. Those aren't household names. Obviously Leonard is, obviously James is, obviously I am, but it's a total group effort of executing the game plan, believing in it, believing in the game plan, believing in the coaches, believing we have the players to do it, and believing in yourself, having the confidence to go out there in Seattle and not flinch, not be afraid of DK Metcalf, not be afraid of Russell Westbrook, not be afraid of the West Coast trip. Don't care about who picks us to win or lose. And then, like I said, the selflessness to go out there and whatever your job might be that day to do it to the best of the ability. And I think that was our best execution of a game plan. And I think you see that when we get it and we get it right, for the most part, that's what it can look like. It can fluster a lot of really good players. And I think the best word that we can put is we flustered them.
You certainly did, and it's a hell of a win, and it's a statement win. Back to your defensive coordinator, Logan, I think he's going to get an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL based on the job that he's done this year. The conversations that we've had, Maggie and I, with you and Blake, every other week, and the way that this defense is played. For those that don't get don't know Patrick on that kind of level, what would you say his greatest strengths, assets as a DC, as a coach are here in the NFL?
His humility, his ability to adapt to his defense, the ability to grow, and his ability to change. I think the NFL is changing. I think, 10 years ago they said mobile quarterbacks can't play quarterback. Now every quarterback's pretty much a mobile quarterback. I think the RPO, we talk so much about the evolution of offense in college football and the spread offense and what it does to the NFL and getting the ball to players in space, and receivers are smaller and faster. Well, defense needs to change too. And Pat's one of those guys on the defensive side of the ball that's changing defense with the versatility and the multiplicity of our units and the amount of players we play and the amount of DBs we put on the field and the amount of linebackers that are on the field. It's different packages than traditional 4-3, 3-4 defense. Like, those days are dead. And I just think that Pat is outworking a lot of other coaches in this league because he's going back to the drawing board after having a great performance, and we might run something completely different. I'm sure we'll do stuff similar because Kyler's a little bit similar, but he's also a different player, so we got to do some different defenses against him as well. He's not going to say, I just had this great performance, let me just do that again. No, it's going to be completely different, and he's back in his lab right now working on it. I said, Pat, you're like the Black Picasso. I'm calling you Picasso because you're just throwing paint at the you're throwing paint at the easel, you're throwing paint at the board, and it's coming out beautiful. So I'm really grateful for him. I played with Hall of Fame coaches learned defense under Belichick. I learned defense for Dick LeBeau. I learned defense from Dean Pease. So I've been in great defensive schemes, and defensive minds my entire career and developed a mind from those guys. And Pat is working his way to be on their level one day, hopefully. And he's definitely working his way to have a beautiful defense like we have.
Man, that's beautiful. The
I
Black
love it.
Picasso. I think that what an amazing nickname and high praise. So one thing that really impresses me, Logan, about the defense is just, you talk about how complicated it is, how it changes week to week, yet there's so many young guys who are being counted on in big roles, and you expect rookies to kind of struggle, and I know it hasn't been perfect, and guys get called for penalties, stuff like that, but how is Graham or you and the other veterans like teaching these young guys to be prepared and have such an intimate knowledge of the game plan that changes week to week?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that is really impressive to me is how these guys are handling it, how we're running it, how guys are calling me around the league like, man, how are you guys handling all that? Our guys can't even handle all that. And I'm like, that comes down to the coaching. That comes down to the assistant coaches. It's obviously Pat, but we have Brett and Jerome Henderson and guys at every unit. Coach Spence has the D-line playing amazing. I mean, our defense runs through our defensive line. We couldn't do what we do if Leo and Dalvin and Dex and those guys stop the run the way they stop it with how we're doing it. And then it goes through Blake. Then it goes through James. We couldn't run our defense without Bradbury out there standing up to the number one receiver pretty much every week and holding his own, and allows us to roll coverage other places and do different things. So it honestly, we have really good players, but I think the coaches are really doing a great job with demanding the details of the young guys. And honestly, the way Joe, and we all know it, he's hard on his best players. We're not getting no sugar, he's not giving us no pats on the back. He's not, he's not sitting there letting me not practice, letting me not get yelled at. I get held accountable, and I think that makes everyone else say, dang, well, Logan's getting yelled at, so I might have to be on my own. And that when I grew up in New England system, Tom Brady would get yelled at. We all know those stories. So he holds everybody accountable, but I just think it's also the leader's willingness to be detail-oriented, to harp on the little things, to be willing to be coached. And you have to have players. It's not always about having the best players, but you have to have players that are coachable, that want to become better. And I think we have players that actually want to be better throughout the year and want to get better, not just say, I was good 3 years ago. I was a Pro Bowl. This is what I do. Don't coach me. I know what I'm doing. I don't think we have a lot of those egos in our building at all.
I want to ask you about Niko Lalos because I'm curious what kind of credibility it gives you in a locker room where you're a guy out of Dartmouth when you get the retweet from LeBron James.
Niko's living right. We say, Niko, whatever you're doing, man, you're living right for sure. But we always go back to it. I always go back to the work ethic. Like, Niko was there early, like on practice squad. Every morning he was there early lifting. He was there early. I barely knew his name, and he was there early. And he would compete with me, like, hey, Log, you come, where you at today? And I beat you today. And we always talk about me and Daniel Jones, but Niko was that third guy there. And he was there, and he just showed up in practice, and he's on, like, playing offense, tight end, scout team tight end, and, I got to cover him. I'm like, Niko, you're never going to catch a ball on me, ever. And he would be out there every day, never catch a ball. He might have caught one, but, like, he's competing every day, and then he's on defense. I don't even know what position he plays. And then he gets in the game, and he's Johnny on the spot. He's where he needs to be, and that just really shows you in this league, like, you just got to stay ready. You got to work on your game because you might get a call, and when you get that call, you better show up to that job opportunity interview ready to go. And he shows that he's ready to go. He shows he knows what he's doing. He shows he can be trusted, and he shows that he can make some plays. So all credit to him. I mean, it's a great story, and the fact that we're talking about him right now, I think, is just the beauty of it.
Logan,
how
about
turnovers and the LeBron tweet? I mean, that was big.
Yeah,
to St. Vincent St. Mary.
I didn't know about that.
I
didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, LeBron gave this huge shout out on Twitter.
Hey, Niko, like, LeBron? And he's like, yes. Like, yeah. Like, oh yeah, I know Bron. Like, all right, you don't know Bron like that, bro. He's like, yeah, I know Bron. Like, oh, you call him Bron now? All right, relax. You just got one interception.
Relax.
And then what does he do this week? He gets a forced fumble. So I got to get off his case a little bit.
It was great.
Or he gets a fumble recovery.
Logan, you mentioned the defense goes through that defensive line. How about Big Cat? How about Leonard Williams in the year that he's having up front? Comes back, franchise tendered. You mentioned how good that your defensive line coach is doing, those guys up front, but the season that Leonard Williams is having up front.
I mean, he's one of the best. I don't know what to tell you. He's one of the best. I don't know what his career has been to this point. Since I've been here, he's been dominant. And he's dominant, and our defense can't run without him. Not the same. It would have to change. And they just say, Leo, you're different. Like, you're bigger. You're different. Be different. Make sure you stand out there. You're a different dude. Obviously a top draft pick for a reason. So he's different. But, I mean, the whole defensive line, I'm telling you, man, it's a special group. Dalvin is having a really tremendous year for interior D linemen. Mm-hmm. Dex is coming along. I mean, you lost some edge rushers there, and you still have guys coming in and making plays. That comes down to the coaching, outside linebacker coach and Brett, the D-line coach, Coach Spence. And those guys have a brotherhood that is special to see how they all are happy for each other's success. So Leo is different. He's winning his blocks like he should, and he is, and we need him to be. But a lot of it, they're doing things to help Leo get free, and he's picking for other guys, and they're picking for him, and he has a great ability to finish on that quarterback. So, like I said, we can't run the defense we run without those guys up front. And whoever's in there, they're all playing at a high level.
Logan Ryan is our guest. Got you for a couple more minutes, and we always appreciate your time, Logan. We know you're busy. You mentioned it before about Kyler Murray, and there are some similarities, right, between he and Russell Wilson, and maybe some similarities with their team where they have a dynamic wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, but he's not all that they have. Just your thoughts about that matchup and sort of how you guys are going to approach it, because as you said, it's not going to be a carbon copy of what we saw in Seattle.
Yeah, well, let's get it. Kyler Murray is the fastest quarterback we have played to this point. I mean, we'll see with Lamar Jackson, but he's faster than Russell Wilson is. So that's going to pose a threat. And obviously, he's a very talented player. He's a little bit younger, maybe not as experienced, but they're a very, very explosive offense and that ability to put up points quickly if you don't do a good job and have great discipline. And honestly, last game was a lot about our discipline and be able to stay disciplined throughout the game. And that our discipline is going to have to continue. And that has to be a mindset from game to game. Just because you were disciplined last week doesn't mean you're just going to be disciplined this game. So that's just something that we got to continue to do. And let's get this straight. DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver will play to this point. So he's better than DK Metcalf. I don't think it's close. So that's another challenge there. I played against Hopkins for many years. I've studied hours of tape on him. He's very good, very competitive, plays every play. And Larry Fitzgerald is a walking legend as well. So they have some talented, great talent on that team. Got to dive into them more, obviously, but it's going to take another a long week of preparation to feel confident to go out there and win the game. And that just comes through how much work we decide to put in this week.
Logan, you used the word discipline a couple of times. I just want to go back to that Seattle game for a second. Is it difficult? I mean, how much going into a game where Colt is starting at quarterback, there's no Daniel Jones, and you need guys to step up and perform, but you also need guys to maintain and be disciplined within the defense, within the offense, and not get too over aggressive. How difficult was that, sticking to that, knowing you're going to be limited offensively with Colt at quarterback as compared to where you were as an offense with Daniel Jones?
Well, when you run the ball for 160 yards against a loaded box, I mean that's great offense regardless who's at quarterback. So, but I told you guys last week, it doesn't matter who's on offense. It honestly doesn't matter. Not that I don't care what the offense does, but I control what I can control, which is the defensive side of things. I talk about what I know about, which is the defensive side of things. So we're always trying to go out there and put up great performances like that one, and it could have been even better. I think with me personally, what I would say that was the biggest thing with me last week was when he would scramble, I made sure I did the best I could to disguise and kind of confuse Russ pre-snap, disguise and run around kind of during the snap and get really deep. I watched a lot of Ed Reed tape, and I wanted to line really deep to discourage, okay, we're not going to be able to throw it deep on this play, and make him be patient and stay disciplined. And there's times all over that game. I'm a guy that's a heavy ball guy. I like to get the ball, punch the ball, knock the ball out, PBUs. Yeah. I love all those stats. But I think I had 3 tackles that game, and I was probably not even on the screen because I had to stay disciplined. I had to keep the integrity of the defense to prevent me and Julian Love, prevent the deep shots, prevent the big explosive Lockett plays, the big explosive Metcalf plays. Too many teams, I think, get too aggressive, and he runs around and makes we talk about how he's the best deep ball thrower in football. Well, we got to take away that deep ball with our alignment, with our disguise, and how we kind of put a spider web around their whole offense. Our pass rush put a spider web around them, and that took discipline. And our secondary put a spider web and try to contain everything they did. And that can get a little boring at times for me, a guy like me, but I felt like it was the best interest of the team. And whatever the team's asking me to do, I'm going to do wholeheartedly because I know that's going to help us win. So that's kind of that discipline, that aggressiveness was definitely something I was feeling all game of, man, I want to go get me a ball, but at the same time, I got to make sure I protect everybody. I want to get this win more importantly.
You know, and it was a big win, Logan. What is that? You've been a part of great runs with other teams. You know, that type of win on the road in Seattle, you know, going in it as a decided underdog. What does that win do for that room, for this group?
I mean, every game's a learning experience. The losses obviously didn't derail us too bad because we kept believing ourselves, and I think the wins can build belief. I think you learn from both of them. You don't get too high after this one. And look, this isn't college football where we just beat the number 1 team in the nation. Now we go to number 7, or I don't know what that is. You know, this win counts as one win. And at the end of the day, it's a great win. We executed well. We didn't have too many self-inflicting wounds. We didn't have too many penalties. We kind of executed our game plan, and that's encouraging, and that's good. And the young guys had success. That's encouraging for their careers. That's big. We need that, but we need it every week. So this is just only counts as one. It doesn't count as 3. It doesn't count as 5 wins. It counts as one win, and that's all we're worried about. So honestly, we need to learn from it. But, you know, the tough part about doing this show on Tuesdays is I like to move on. So when we're done this show, I'll probably move on. I like to move on from the game and go to the next one. So we got, like I said, I tell the guys it counts as one win. I'm proud of them, but we gotta lock it back in, and we got to get ready to go on the next win. And, you know, when I say I go in there and I believe I can win every game I play, I truly believe that because I put a lot of work in, and we're going to put a lot of work in to beat the Cardinals. And I hope that by Saturday night, we feel like we can beat them because of our hard work all week.
Logan, we've kept you a long time. I just have one last one for you, and it's just drawing on your experience going back to 2015 with the Patriots. You guys started the season 10-0. The Steelers yesterday got to 11-0 before they lose for the first time. So looking back on that season 2015, knowing what it's like, what are the Steelers feeling this morning?
You just take it how it is. I mean, like, I don't know what they're feeling. You just take it how it comes. I know that year we were 10-0. We were rolling through teams, and then we lost a couple guys to injury. Edelman got hurt on injury. Gronk got hurt on injury, and we finished the season 2-4. So we were 12-4, and we have a 2 seed and not the 1 seed. In New England, that meant everything. I don't know, just the mentality of having the 1 seed and having home field throughout was different than having to travel up there. So it just kind of like we didn't finish strong. I don't think our confidence was at the same spot it was early in the year because we let that one loss kind of turn into more, and you know, and we just didn't feel like the same confident, you know, team that we were early in the year, and we ended up losing the AFC Championship, and neither here nor there, obviously. So that's why it's so important to continue to get better throughout the year. And obviously, everybody wants to win every game. You want to start off 10-0, but you want to make sure you're making strides. You're getting so the Steelers, it could just be in one game, whatever, bump in the road, or it can derail them. I don't really know. It just kind of how years go, and you know, I have a supreme confidence in our team because of how we're just staying together through wins and losses. I just don't think one game. I don't think this Seahawks game is going to get us off our mission. Like, oh wow, now we believe we're good. No, we believe we were good going into the game. That's why we won the game when no one else believed in us. Nobody picked us to win that game in the whole world. So I don't want to hear it now when they believe in us now, or they can. I hope they do, but it doesn't. It's not going to change how we feel about ourselves. And I just honestly just think it's about the mindset of the team.